All right, good morning, good evening, good night. Welcome into the Nifty Q Show. We're interviewing influential founders, leaders, and people in the NFT industry. Today, I'm sitting with my friend CryptoStache, OG NFT investor. OG NFT investor, the Colossus of Cloud, if you will. We'll be talking in depth about our connection in the space since 2017, his rise in the industry since that time, a full NFT gaming sector breakdown, tips for listeners looking to make it as content creators, and much more. Stash, what is going on, my brother? It's good to have you on the channel.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it. Always good to be here talking with fellow NFT gaming enthusiast and longtime buddy in the space, man.
Yeah, we're going to dive in a little bit into how we met and what we've been up to kind of since then, especially yourself, of course. We're diving deep on that OG NFT investor piece. But I got some beard wash before the episode. I had to look my absolute best. So
Looking good.
First question I have. Yeah, let's see some hair product answers here. What are you using on that bad boy to make it look so fresh and so clean?
Oh, you think I use product on this? I just wake up like this, man. It just looks good. I roll out of bed looking this damn good. Look at it.
Close up.
I mean, no, I wish. I mean, it does look pretty close, but no, I do use. Actually, I use a pomade to do this. So a lot of people ask me that, and this is a trick that I learned because when I was a young lad,
Yeah.
with my first real mustache, I was trying to do this handlebar style, and I was using kind of like these, mustache waxes. They all sucked. None of them worked, and I was kind of like, I didn't get it, and then. In a roundabout way, which is a much longer story, I connected with the bearded mustache community, which is a whole they do
Oh yeah.
competitions. It's a whole crazy in-depth thing with so much going on there. And I learned some of the tricks of the trade, and one of them was to do this style is use a pomade. And so that's what I use to get the signature stash here is a pomade.
I love it. What age were you just like, this is gonna be me? Was it like you came out of the womb ready to roll, like 8 years old, you got that little mustache, or what was the
No,
timeline
man.
there?
No, I've gone through a lot of we'll say look transitions.
Oh man, I
So
need to
this
see
this
that.
is the latest iteration, but dude, if you'd see me in some of the other earlier iterations, you would probably not even recognize me. It's kind of crazy, right? So this look came about around the same time that I started doing a bigger festival called the Folk Revival Festival, and this was like a folk bluegrass country music festival
Oh,
that I
that's
did
sick.
here in Long Beach. I've been an event producer for a very long time. I've been a musician my entire life, and so I got I've been involved on the production side of producing music festivals and events, and I did that for better part of 15, almost 20 years. So it was for that festival, and the reason why I kind of just ended up doing that. Now I think that was around 2012, 2013.
Yeah, I love that, man. We have so many different, I feel like, connections to things that we like bluegrass country. I'm from Virginia, so we listen to a lot of country music here, and we met in doing the IOST blockchain. We love NFT gaming. I feel like we would be best friends in IRL. So we're the three best friends. But guys, I appreciate you showing up early for the Nifty Q show here. Of course, we're live on YouTube, but you can find this podcast afterwards on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Please leave a like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Stash, I want to get into the conversation, and I really do feel like this is going to be much needed for the people that are here live today. I mean, we're going through a lot in the world right now. We have the
Yeah.
Ukraine news. I want to start off with this. A lot of this stuff can seem a little bit trivial when we're having talks about the NFT gaming sector while there's full scale invasions of other countries.
I know, man. I feel the same way. I'm doing my regular stuff. Posting videos and doing social media and talking with the community about playing and giveaways and things like that. And yeah, just it does. It feels trivial when you see here on Twitter on the other side. It's like, Russia invading Ukraine. They've taken over an airport. Getting these real times up. And I feel like a chump posting that stuff. It is. It's serious stuff, man. And we're a bit removed from it, obviously, here in the United States. We just get some social feed, man. But there's people that are living this shit,
Mhm.
and those are the people that I really, my heart goes out to because, that's what happens with any conflict like this, whether it is, actual, direct contact, or indirect, right? Conflict, right? Is it's always the average person, man. Just the people who are trying to feed their family, have work hard and enjoy life. Those are the people that get affected the most. It's not the rich people that can flee, that can already taken on. It's just the average people, man, and that sucks the most. That's what I feel the most.
Yeah, I want to echo those sentiments as well. It definitely feels like a dark day when you wake up and all this stuff is happening. But we want to do our best to keep it light. I want to kind of transition the conversation to the NFT space, of course. But what does it mean in total? This is the kind of the last question we'll touch on. What does it mean in total for like what we're doing here and what people are invested in and involved in the NFT space now that this stuff is going on when you have a global conflict like this?
I mean, yeah, like I said, I think it does kind of put things in perspective. We're over here spending thousands and thousands of dollars on just JPEGs. It seems a little ridiculous, but at the same time, this is an emerging tech sector, and I think it always kind of seems ridiculous. If you look at any emerging tech, no matter where it's coming from, people are always like, "What? This is weird. This is crazy. Like this doesn't make sense," until it does. And I think we kind of just continually see that over and over again in every major tech cycle is that it's unbelievable, it's weird, oh, it's only for nerds or what, what I mean, until it's not. And I think this just continues to happen, and we've seen it multiple times. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now still too, is that people, kind of see it that way because it's kind of portrayed a little bit that way as well. It's kind of, NFTs for a lot of people out there that are not really familiar with what they really are, why they are. They just look at it as a big cash grab, as rich people flaunting another asset that they didn't have a chance to get in. And, that's always been my focus here in this space is to educate the average person, get average people investing and understanding these things. It doesn't have to be on a full, like, technical level, but enough to get it and to understand why it's important and why it's important to get in now before you start to see billionaires getting into it and monopolizing and manipulating the game, because that's going to happen no matter what. It's just that's a tenet of capitalism, so it comes at some point. You just want to make sure you're in before that major hump. If you're in before that hump, the technology cycle hump, we all know about that. You guys have seen that chart. It's like early adopter, early, super early, and then it's like, and then you get to that hump, and then it's like, okay, don't be on the hump or the buying over here. You want to be buying down here before you get to that top.
It really has felt like that hump is starting to make itself known in the NFT space in like the past 3 to 6 months. And I know we're still at like a really early stage of this whole industry, but I've seen a lot of Web 4s. Like, when is Web 4 coming along? Because everyone's just getting sick and tired of like all the banter on Twitter.
Web 3. They don't even know. They don't even understand the concept of what Web 3 truly means. People throw around these terms. And most people in the end of tier industry, man, just be perfectly damn honest. Most projects, most people that you consider influencers, people who have massive followings on places like TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, they actually don't know jack shit about what they're talking about, but they put a damn good game on, man. They put a good game face on. I've been here since the beginning. I understand the tech. I knew that it was going to be big. I was talking about it for years when no one gave a shit. And now we see a ton of bandwagoners, celebrities, people jumping on board. They don't, and most of these people just really don't know, and they're just riding a hype cycle.
Yeah,
and they know how to do that well. They know how to ride that hype very well.
I've seen that, and again, just to echo the sentiments we're both sharing right now, over the past, I would say, year, but more towards the latter end of that 365-day time period, we've seen a lot of people that have come into the space relatively quickly and talk to us like they've been here for years. I actually have to stop myself from like seeming so negative on Twitter, because like you said, it's happening more and more, but it's really cool to see somebody like yourself win, because we know that it's somebody from the community, and I don't mean to be like a gatekeeper here. I don't feel like we should be gatekeepers. If anything, we're trying to bring people in the right way. So
yeah, exactly.
So let's talk about your coming into crypto, right? Like, what was your education piece? Was there a stash on the other end of learning about crypto when you first got in?
I wish there was, man. There really wasn't. When I first got into crypto was in 2013. I really actually first kind of got a little inkling of a taste in 2012, but I dismissed it because it was just kind of one of those quick things. I saw something and I was like, oh, Bitcoin, new internet money, and like, go buy here. And I was like, I'm gonna check this out. And then I saw on this website early, I don't even remember what the name of the website was, but early website slinging Bitcoin. And they were like, buy Litecoin too. You could buy both here. And I was like, what? This is weird. There's two coins. That's stupid. Why is there two? Why would there even be two coins? And so I dismissed it. But then in 2013, that's when I, it kind of came back on my radar and I read the white paper. That was really what changed my mind. I read this whole thing and I was like, wow, actually, this is a massive life-changing and technology-changing concept that can reach far and wide, the implications, if it's done right. And, it's not always an easy thing. With great technology comes great responsibility. And kind of the whole Spider-Man quote there, but like that really is with how it comes down to is with technology. We have this really big responsibility, and it can go one way or the other because technology is something that can be used for good or for evil or for in betweenish. And depending on how it's used and how people manipulate it is how people are going to see it. And I think that's kind of some of the issue we see now. But yeah, I mean, getting into the space, there was no content creators talking about Bitcoin like there is now. There was nobody on YouTube in 2013 talking about it. That really didn't we really didn't see like an influencer or content creation scene pop up until probably 2016, 2017, really. And so yeah, there wasn't a lot going on. I mean, the biggest go-to place in 2013 was Bitcoin Talk, man.
Yeah, Bitcoin.
It was, yeah, the original Bitcoin forum. It was just a message board, and it was all focused on that, and that's where everything was kind of going on. So, that would kind of be one of the places where I would be looking. But I wasn't super involved early. I bought some Bitcoin in 2013, and then essentially bought the top in 2013 too. So and
the $40 Bitcoin top. what was the top of Bitcoin then?
It was legit the top, and I bought it. And then 2014, I think it was like May or something, is when we had the Mount Gox. Maybe it was June. It was somewhere around there, a couple months into 2014. Mount Gox, and that just kind of hammered everything. And I didn't have money in Mount Gox, luckily, but yeah, it put us into a multi-year bear market, and I just kind of sat on it. Didn't do anything, wasn't involved until 2016 was when I kind of came back around into the space, and I saw Ethereum, and I was like, "Ooh, this is cool. What is this?" I was like, "This is new. This is awesome." I like the idea of programmable type of money and the smart contract, and so that kind of pulled me back in, and I was like, "I want to get more involved in this. I really think this is going a direction that is more interesting even now."
Yeah, I want to talk about this content creation part and like the education piece, because I think it's still important for people that are getting in to learn about this stuff, and it's not happening necessarily on the biggest influencers page, although there are some that are really dope, like yourself. It's happening in the Discords. It's happening in the second, or third tier Discord category where they're having a deep conversation. That's where you should be. And really, that was where my education kind of came in. I think it was Slack. I got it just involved in some type of Slack of guys who were involved in the space, and it was learning another language. It was like every night I would just read that Slack and start to take in what being in blockchain was all about, man. So that was a really good piece on Bitcoin Talk. I'm sure you were a part of or got to experience a lot of interesting talks on Bitcoin Talk in 2013, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't super active. I would go on there and check it out. I wasn't posting really on there. I was more of a lurker.
Exactly.
Because I wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is, I want to be a whole bunch. I wasn't like coding anything, and at that time when it comes to like any kind of Bitcoin code or anything like that was associated with it or really involved in the industry. I would say I wasn't really an active participant, but I would go on there and look at threads here and there and kind of see what was going on every once in a while. And but yeah, I mean it was early, so there wasn't a ton going on.
Yeah.
There wasn't a ton going on. It wasn't like there was tons of projects or tons of exchanges or things like that. So it was a relatively it was relatively tame when it comes to what we have now in comparison. The overwhelming amount of information and projects and launches and technology and everything now. I mean, it's just over the top.
Yeah, I want to get your take on Bitcoin maxis, because there's some people that's all they do is I have no idea, what do Bitcoin maxis do all day, where you're talking about all these different projects on Ethereum and all these other blockchains. What do Bitcoin maxis do all day, Stache?
That's a damn good question, man. Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin.
Yeah, private
I don't.
keys, security.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I don't understand where they come from because I do. I mean, I'm not at all obviously a Bitcoin maximalist. I do believe that that's where everyone should get started. When you talk about the educational part of things, there's a lot of people out there that whereas they may have some specific knowledge, I think I feel a lot of times they don't have everyone's good long-term success at heart truly. And so if they're not telling you to start with Bitcoin, and that's where you, as a beginner, and they're telling you, yeah, jump into this DeFi project or get into NFT, like that's not really the best way, man. Bitcoin is the best way to get started because it's an easy entry into the industry. It allows you to be very stable in comparison to other things, we'll say, right? And allows you to kind of learn that base layer because that everything else is kind of built off, that springboarded everything else. And I think that is pretty important. And so I mean, what are Bitcoin maxis talking about all the time? I mean, they're talking about the Bitcoin things. Things are
Bitcoin
happening there.
things.
It's just they're talking about Bitcoin things. Things are happening on the network. They don't happen very fast. Everyone these days is everything's all about faster, 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 and faster is not always necessarily the best thing.
Mhm.
We try and like push that in a lot of other areas in crypto, but it's not always really the best solution. And
Mhm.
so for what Bitcoin is doing and kind of where it's found its place and its home as kind of more of a store of value than versus being like, an everyday spending currency, I think that, not being fast is actually not that bad of a trait there. So, I mean, I don't know, man. Bitcoin Max is just talking about how, Bitcoin can change the world. And I think it's more of a macro look on things.
Sure.
And that's kind of where they focus on that macro environment that Bitcoin kind of resides in and how it can really still continue to help people in a lot of different ways. And so to talk about more of on a larger macro scale versus getting to the intricacies like we kind of do with altcoins and things like that. So.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how Bitcoin reacts to like these macro events in the world too. That we're living through right now. So I'm watching Bitcoin closely, of course. I think you made a great point in that it should be an introductory for a lot of people. You should really kind of have the, I would say, Web3 or blockchain ethos from Bitcoin, right? Because it was the first. It did start all of this. So once you do that, make your way down the rabbit hole a few rungs and you'll get to the NFT space. I remember sitting in the office in ICO Alert in 2017 when I opened up the CryptoKitties website, not knowing that it would kind of lead me to even having this conversation here today with you, right? It was really the introduction to NFTs for a lot of us. So was that your
Yeah.
introduction into the NFT space?
I mean, I will say yes and no. That was when the light bulb went off when I was like, wow, this can actually be more than what, the first kind of, look I got it. Because there were NFT projects before CryptoKitties, but they weren't, like what we consider an NFT, which is essentially using a standard for a token that is unique, right? And so that's kind of what I would define as what we now consider to be an NFT, right? So we have this standard of saying, okay, it has these standard things. These define a unique token. People were creating unique tokens on Ethereum before, ERC 721 as a standard, but that's really what I think catapulted things forward. And before that, really, it was just kind of like they were just JPEGs. So like CryptoPunks, just a JPEG, man, and shitty at that. Like I look at that art, I'm like, when I first saw that, they were trying to give these things away for free, man, and like it was hard to give them away for free. It was that big back in the day where it was like no one cared, no one really cared about these things. It wasn't a particularly interesting thing, which is funny how that changes when people start to understand something like this. But the art is not good. It's not even good for pixel art, man. But they did it, and it was an early project, and there was a couple other early projects too that were kind of pioneering this space. But CryptoKitties gave the first utility. They said, "Look, here's what you can actually do with this stuff," and that's what really made that light bulb go off for me. Is not just like, "Oh, cool, it's a unique looking pixelated character." Like, what the hell? I don't, that's not a big deal for me. I'm not changing my avatar to that thing. I don't want it for free, and I turned them down. And I was like, "Nah, I'm good." But CryptoKitties was like, "Oh wow, this is something you can actually do something with this. This showcases the true potential of a unique token." And I think that was really what triggered everything for me. And so from then I was like, "Hey, I'm sold. I want in on this. I started doing CryptoKitties, and shortly after, like Cheese Wizards and a couple other ones started to
Cheese
pop up. And
Wizards.
you know what I'm
That's
saying?
how you know an OG. If they start talking about Cheese Wizards, you know they know about their shit.
Well, and they didn't like blow up like CryptoKitties did. You know what I'm saying? It was very small, but some of these early products that were like starting to kind of pave the way. Lay the groundwork for everything that you're seeing today. Putting that work in, man, it's hard being on that really cutting edge. Like you're in a cutting edge industry already, and then you're on the cutting edge of the cutting edge. Like that's sharp, man. And so you can go one way or the other. Your project might be incredibly successful, or it might die on the tip of that sharp blade. So.
Yeah, whenever we have these conversations with like newbies or normies, I always refer to like the rabbit hole, and NFTs are absolutely like the farthest down the I mean, the DAO people definitely as well. Like if you're in a DAO in an NFT, you're like pretty far down. But it is funny to have that normie conversation, being like, I'm not just in ETH, I'm in these crazy things where you should just own everything, so
yeah, I earn bananas every day, isn't that cool? Banana tokens. And you're like, but what do you do? Can you eat them? No, man. But utility coming soon, and I could probably buy some cool stuff inside the metaverse once they launch their vending machines inside the sand. And like if you talk like that to people who don't know what the hell you're talking about, you sound like an absolute batshit crazy ass person.
It's a blank stare.
They're just like
I want to. You mentioned Cheese Wizards. I was part of that tournament. That's a really cool thing to have. It's like a collector's item at this point. Hopefully they're valuable at some point. Because at the time it really kind of flopped, and I don't want to have a Cheese Wizards discussion. I want to have like a Dapper Labs discussion because in not a huge one, just kind of a little mini discussion here on how you think Dapper Labs is doing because. The reason why CryptoKitties took off is they're great at onboarding. The way that they approached on like discussing the blockchain and discussing what an NFT was really kind of, it lowered the barrier for understanding for a lot of people. They do a great job of that. But when it comes to like Top Shot and when it comes to, NFL All Day, they're doing a ton of different stuff, Flow blockchain, but they've had some missteps, right? Like the NBA Top Shot kind of fell off. I think they did some bad things with the increasing the supply so fast and all this stuff. But what do you make of Dapper Labs and their kind of role in the space and what they've done up to this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've definitely helped to play a pivotal role, and they've been one of the companies that really stepped up and said, "Hey, we're going to continue to innovate." If you look at them in comparison to like Larva Labs, will say, they put out CryptoPunks. That was it. I mean, and they've done some stuff obviously since then, like B-Bits and other things, but it's generally the exact same thing. Not much utility, not really developing a real community spirit. But I think Dapper Labs kind of did that. They found projects that really developed great communities behind them, that are dedicated communities. And so I think they took what they kind of the success they had with CryptoKitties, understood like, hey, we see limitations. And they went big and they said, we're going to build a whole blockchain that kind of tries to overcome a lot of these limitations, to help us further what we're trying to do. And, then they launched NBA Top Shot, which I think was a genius time, the product to launch at the time that they launched it. Massive, fanfare once it started getting going. Obviously has fallen off here a little bit. I'm still waiting. Dapper, when can we sell packs in the marketplace? I'm literally sitting on tons and tons of packs, haven't opened them, been asking for that damn feature, and they're like, well, they're not NFTs. That doesn't mean I can't sell them. You have a centralized marketplace, damn it. Anyway, sorry. But yeah, so I mean, I think that they have a good model. They have a good team that is really pushing forward with this. I do have obviously some complaints with the Flow blockchain in particular. Like, they make it's almost impossible to buy Flow and to participate, and they don't really use the token in any of their networks in any kind of real way. So it was like, it doesn't seem to make sense. They've been very limited in the use case of the Flow token. But they're kind of combination of a centralized exchange in combination with NFT technologies, I think, makes sense for onboarding consumers, making it easy. Their Dapper Wallet experience is, fairly straightforward. They've made sure that they've gone through all the legal hoops to, make it compliant, which I think is also important. And, kind of obviously everyone wants to not KYC so they can hide all those sweet, sweet gains. But the reality is that that's just not going to happen anymore. It's not going to happen anymore. So yeah, I out of a scale of 1 to 10, I would give Dapper as a company and their products, I give them an 8.
Yeah,
give them an 8.
Oh, I'll take the 7.5 and 8. I think Rohan would take that too. Maybe he's looking to improve that score over the coming years. But yes, open up the marketplace. Let us sell our packs. I agree with that 100%. We're already kind of like 25 minutes into the convo, Stash, so I just want to kind of stay here. I did want to have that convo about us meeting back in 2018 here within IOST, but honestly, like we've come so far since then. We can touch on it briefly. Like, what was your experience from like 2018 to 2022? Like where we are today. What were
Yeah.
you kind of seeing back in 2018, where we kind of met on IOST, and then finding about NFT games?
Yeah, I mean, 2018 is really where I kind of, I'll say, doubled down into NFTs and into gaming, and really understanding. I hooked up with Engine the beginning of that year and started kind of working with them on some stuff. Really saw what they were doing, which was really interesting. And then, yeah, I got involved with IOST on level. I liked their technology, but unfortunately, it just turned out that they, as a project, couldn't manage it in the right direction. But we and a bunch of us were working together because we were like, hey, this could be really something good. But it's a great example of like having great tech, but not having a great team or having great marketing to be able to push it in the right direction, and things just don't go the way that they should, and they end up with a centralized nightmare. But this whole time that was never my focus, man. Like what we were doing there was just kind of like a little extra thing. It was it was like, okay, great, I'm running a node. Think this could be cool. If it turns out it's great, we're kind of uniting together to try and better the ecosystem. They don't really want to work with us, okay. But that wasn't really what I was ever focusing on. I was really moving more towards this NFT side of things, and then the incorporation of NFTs into games. And so I really started getting, like I said, involved with Engine. I was the first YouTuber to have his own NFT. Literally, no one had done that before. Before it was just projects that were putting out NFTs. It was like we made a project and here's a bunch of NFTs that we're doing for it. Nobody was doing like individual stuff like that. And so, as an individual content creator, I was the first person to put that out. And I did an airdrop with Engine when we was first getting started with that, using their. I was one of the first users of their early technology, which they call Engine Beam, and it was essentially being able to give away free NFTs through a use of a QR code. And I airdropped 5,000 of those bad boys, just like here, scan the QR code with your wallet, free NFT for you, and so yeah, so that was kind of 2018, and so then throughout the next couple of years, I just dove more into it, got more involved in the space, started covering more projects as they were emerging. It was still very early on, so there wasn't like a massive amount of projects that were getting into NFTs or getting into to blockchain gaming. But I thought it was awesome. So I'm like creating my own NFTs. I go to conferences. I'm speaking to 5,000 people, and then I'm like, hey, at the end I got a free NFT for anyone who attended. Just come see me afterwards. And I get down there, and people are like, hey, and there's like 3 people that are lined up that want the NFT. And I'm like, oh, 3 people, great, Couldn't give the damn things away for years.
Yeah.
And now everyone's just like NFTs. Oh my god, they're the best. I'm like, I told you, suckers.
Yeah, 100%. And I appreciate you being an OG and kind of laying it down here. I think this is an ideal discussion because you've been involved in so many of these different blockchains, right? Like we've already touched on Flow. You touched on Engine. I know that you've had some things going on Wax. So, and before I asked this question, someone had a tweet the other day that said Solana is what EOS should have been, and that like literally hurt my soul because I do feel that tech thing that you mentioned within IOST. It's like, yeah, great tech, good stuff, but without the right team behind it, it just dies. So you saw that with almost EOS in the same way you did IOST. But question, after all that kind of rambling, let's have like lightning discussions on these different blockchains you use. So you mentioned Engine. Let's hit a little bit of Engine. Let's move into Wax. I want to touch on some other things. Let's see those experiences that you've had with those blockchains. You don't have to give a rating. We don't have to put anybody on blast.
So love what Engine was doing on early on. I think they hit that Ethereum wall where it was like everything they were doing was kind of dependent on the fact that transactions were affordable on Ethereum, and then they kind of hit this wall, and so they now are making a transition into Polkadot and kind of connecting what's been going on with Engine and the Ethereum blockchain with now cross blockchain capabilities on Polkadot with Efinity. So I love that direction they're going, but there's still a little bit of a disparity there between projects that were I wouldn't say abandoned, but kinda, and NFTs that are hard to move. Like I have hundreds of NFTs on my Engine wallet, But to move them over, like transition over to Infinity is going to cost thousands and thousands of dollars because of the fees, right? So it's one of those catch-22. So I think they're just in a little bit of a transition phase. I will say during that same time, I was an early backer of Wax during their ICO. I saw what they were doing, the fact that they, were starting to run this OpSkins website, which was an NFT gaming skins website that was already existent that they had kind of taken over. And I was like, yeah, this sounds great, man. This is a company that, is really pushing the envelope. And, they've gone through a lot of transitions too, but I started creating NFTs on their platform from the very beginning. I was one of the first creators there doing NFTs as well. They have now transitioned to their own blockchain many years ago, which is based on EOS technology. And I think a lot of people get this mixed up, is they think, oh, Wax is EOS. It's just using that stuff, and they've taken it and made it their own blockchain. So it's not like, oh, anything that happens on Wax is dependent on anything happening on EOS. It's not like that. It's completely independent, where they have no kind of interaction or dependence on one another. So EOS can totally keep tanking like it has been and be unadopted, but Wax has taken that technology and furthered it so much and made it really what it should be. When you compare the ecosystem of Wax to every other NFT ecosystem out there, it blows it away. I know most people just don't realize and understand that, because Wax has lower fees, and so therefore it ends up having NFTs that are being bought and sold for lower dollar amounts. People like Ethereum because it's like big dollars but massive fees too. They have to be, because you're not going to be able to sell an NFT for $50 when the fee is $80. Doesn't work. But you can easily do that with Wax, and so you see that things are a little bit more affordable over there. So it's never like, oh my God, now this thing, but it's going to be a 50 ETH worth of transactions because the floor has gone up amazingly by 3,000%. I mean, there are projects on Wax where that has happened. But I think that the ecosystem there is definitely different. The vibe over on Wax is different, but the features on Wax blow everything away. Everything on Ethereum, everything on Solana, everything on Tezos, Cardano, any other blockchain that has NFTs, the feature set on Wax blows them away. Now there's not as big a volume, and there's maybe not as big of products there, but there are more and more coming every single day, and the quality there I think gets overlooked time and time again.
100%. And they were a first mover. They were one of the first movers with a lot of these NFT pieces and these projects launching there. I do want to kind of stay on this conversation, because the way that I see it is like Wax should be, a little bit more popular than it is. There is, I feel like, for people listening here, a lot of people haven't used Wax, and some of that has to do with the fact that they're so removed from the Ethereum ecosystem. And for the longest time, there was no way to bridge into Wax. It's still, I haven't used it in a while, but it was kind of clunky. It wasn't that easy to use. So I do want to have this conversation about like other, ways that I guess blockchains that aren't connected to Ethereum can get the narrative going on bringing Ethereum people to their blockchain. Or do they even need it? Should it just be, let's target people who aren't even in crypto yet and bring them in?
I mean, I think both. And Wax actually has several bridges now actually to Ethereum, so you can bridge tokens and also NFTs as well. So that's actually something that's been in the works, where you'll be able to move your Ethereum NFTs to Wax and Wax NFTs to Ethereum. So those bridges are coming. I mean, obviously you're still gonna have to pay those fees on Ethereum. On Wax, it's way more affordable, and you're just locking up your staking tokens instead of losing them, right? Which you'd always unstake. Like, hey, I'm done, on Wax. I'm just gonna unstake all my Wax. I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I mean, there's a massive difference there. And when it comes to, do we need Ethereum people on Wax? I mean, I think Wax is doing great as an ecosystem. Like I said, I've always tried to encourage more people to check it out, in particular beginners. Think about how many people are priced out from participating in NFTs on Ethereum. What do you think the percentage of people that want to have an NFT but can't, because they can't participate on Ethereum, and they think that's all there is? Like, what percentage of people that want to have that want to be involved in NFTs can't, simply because they don't have the money, because Ethereum is too expensive? I'd say it's a pretty good percentage, man. Most people out there want to be involved, but they can't pay the damn fees on these things. It's becoming a rich person's game, and that's not cool.
Yeah, it is becoming a rich person's game more and more. And the whitelisting features as well that have been added, it's getting harder and harder to just, like you said, back in the day, people were giving things away for free. You know, it wasn't a
Yeah.
whitelist spot and then pay
No.
$1,000 for this mint that you don't even know what you're getting because it's going to reveal in 2 days. It was, here's the NFT, have it, please God. You know?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've come a long way, man. And I think that, a lot of that stuff that's happening on Ethereum I understand it, but that doesn't mean that it makes it accessible and approachable to everybody. And that's what I enjoy. I've always, my tenet has always been to make crypto accessible and approachable and in usable for everybody. That's the point. Not to make an exclusive club where only rich people that got into, Ethereum early, or people who have tons and tons of money, or only celebrities can be involved in the ecosystem. The whole point is that every individual can be involved. And so when you look at what's going on Ethereum, like, that's what's happening. You're pricing people out, and people, seeing this and then thinking, I can't be a part of that because it's too expensive. I'll never be able to own a Bored Ape. You probably won't. But the fact is, you probably won't be able to own anything because they're all starting at hundreds of dollars per mint plus a $200 or $300 gas fee. And that's even if you can get in the mint. So I understand there, like, being more demand than there is supply, which is fine. Running whitelists, I think, is fine. Trying to find your core community that really wants to be a part of something, but it's that price point, man. We've kind of accepted an incredibly high price point with Ethereum-based NFTs, and someone just said, Bored Ape said, well, it's gonna, how do they come up? Arbitrary. 0.08 Ethereum, sure.
Yeah.
And everyone just said, yeah, that's what we're going with because that's what we've made the standard. Why does everyone choose 10K avatars? Well, I don't know. There's no freaking reason. There's literally no reason behind it. There's no data behind it. They just randomly chose it, and then everyone just said, adopted and said, yeah, that's what we're going to do. That's the standard now. And so I think a lot of these things come about, and they exclude people. And so Wax is really easy for people that are beginners and people who don't have a massive budget to get on board and start trying NFTs. And not only trying NFTs, but also creating their NFTs. It's incredibly simple and cheap to do so on Wax. And it's not so much to do so on any other platform when you got to pay, fairly big, fees just to get started.
Yeah, we're down a really good rabbit hole here. I think it's important for people at home that are kind of wondering how to get started in investing in crypto or NFTs. You have to be where people aren't. Bitcoin right now is, in a risk reward standpoint, maybe it's good if you want to 2x or something like that. But if you're looking to make life-changing money that people a year ago or 2 years ago were making, it's not in Bitcoin, and you have to go where people aren't. And to your point, Wax is...
I'm going to interject there, actually. That's not necessarily true, man. It comes down to your time frame. If you if you're looking to make money quickly, hey guys, I need to have that Lux lifestyle here in the next 2 years. So yeah, then if that's the case and that's what you're looking to do, get rich quick. You're right. Bitcoin's not going to be the mode for you. But if you're smart about it, you can definitely do it in 10 years time.
Yeah.
But most people don't want to think about it. They're like, I want it now, man. I want that Lambo. I want to go to the moon. I don't care. I'm going to go full degen and try and do it. And some people are successful. Most people probably aren't. Because for some people to be successful, that means the majority of people are not going to be successful. But you're right. The less risky of an asset, the less likely you are to 10, 100x, 1,000x.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that with Bitcoin. But you could easily get some great gains, double or triple your gains over the next couple of years, and then keep compounding that, and then doing it again until in 10 years time you could easily take a decent amount, a small amount of starter cash, putting it only into Bitcoin, DCAing, averaging your costs down over the course of 5 to 10 years, and you can easily turn a smaller amount into $1 million+ if you're patient. Most people aren't patient, and that is the huge problem here.
Yeah, I agree with that. Listen to everything Stash just laid it down. I do think that Bitcoin is a great investment. None of this is financial advice. Do your own research. Of course, we're not registered financial advisors here.
No, that was financial advice, man. Bitcoin.
That's him, not me, not the channel. It's Stash right there. But I agree with the sentiment. The main point I was kind of getting at is that you probably get a better return in 10 years with Ethereum. There's just less people involved in knowing about Ethereum than Bitcoin, and you can make your way down the rung. Now within those rungs, there's a minesweeper type effect where you might get blown up on one of those, but if I'm looking to get in, I'm looking at where people aren't, because that's where the outsized returns have been when it comes to a lot of these things. So speaking of where people aren't, I want to stay a little bit on Wax here because we had a great question come through from Coca. He said Wax just needs one thing, most likely a game ? That helps it get out there. I made the analogy to like blockchains being consoles and a lot of these dApps being like games. One of the reasons I bought an Xbox was because I wanted to play Halo. I think Solana's done a great job of this. They've had like Star Atlas and Aurora and things that get them out there to the broader public. Do you think Wax, has faltered here with not having like a premier, game, or what do they need to do to bring in, the type of narrative? Do you think that the Coca's a little bit right there?
I mean, I think that you always want to look for that killer dApp. I think that this is a combination of multiple things. Ethereum had the first mover advantage, and first mover advantage is always going to be a big deal when it comes to emerging tech like this. They were the first blockchain to have NFTs. They had the first really successful marketplace, and so to be able to follow that and do something on a completely different chain is not the easiest thing to do. Now, I think that the technology in Wax does set it up to be something that is a big player, but one of the biggest hurdles we've had is accessibility to the token itself. So, Ethereum, you can buy anywhere, man. Every damn exchange has Ethereum. You can buy everywhere. There is not one exchange out there that doesn't have Ethereum. Not one. But there are only a few places that you can go and buy Wax, right? So as an altcoin like that, and not being an Ethereum-based altcoin, which is super easy to list, right? Because it's just another line of code, same thing, even compatible. It makes it harder to be able to get that token. And I think that's been one of the biggest hurdles for Wax being very successful. It's been harder to be able to buy and get to the ecosystem for people. It's not on every major exchange.
It's not on Coinbase, is it?
No, it's not on most major exchanges, especially not here in the United States. You can get it on Bittrex, which is one of the only major U.S. exchanges where you can grab Wax. You can also get it on things like MoonPay and things like that. But in general, it's not at the major places where people are trading. And even on Binance, man, there's been Wax-based tokens that got listed on Binance, and Wax still is not listed. So you know what I'm saying? So I feel like they're like, I don't know if it's out of spite or something's going on. If you guys don't know, one of the co-creators of Wax, William Quigley, was also a co-creator of USDT, and so I think that maybe there might be some bad blood there. I don't know. I'm not really sure, but in general, I think that's been one of the biggest hurdles with Wax. Now, there have been some great dApps, some great little games on Wax. There are some more involved games that are being developed that are on the platform that look really good, and whether or not they're going to be long term or hold their value, that's another case. But I definitely think that all the elements are there, but there are some things that are riding against them. And yeah, having a big breakout game would be great to really push it forward. And I think that we may see that. We may see that here pretty soon. We've seen a lot of brands come to Wax. When you talk about that in comparison to every other blockchain, every other projects out there, Wax has done a really great job of attracting IPs to their blockchain. What they've done a bad job of is maintaining those and creating communities around them. A lot of it's been like, okay, it's here,
Godzilla,
and then nothing after that, right? It's kind of and so. I think a lot of people don't understand is that a lot of those have come from the Wax team directly. They have their own, kind of company that does those things and essentially does branding deals, and they've just not been good at keeping up with those things and doing interesting things and continuing them and keeping a good community. It's been the community projects on Wax that have really kept it going and kept it afloat. And to be perfectly honest, when you kind of compare it, there have been big projects on there that have had breakout, massive, sales. Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of them. Like Splinterlands has been one of the ones. When you talk about high dollar assets that are trading on the platform, people think, oh no, that's only for Ethereum. But we've seen assets for Splinterlands, in particular lands for Splinterlands, go for almost $1 million. So it's definitely happening. Is it happening a ton? No, but I think that the technology is there and the platform is set. Yeah, I think having a killer dApp that would most likely be a game would be a real big springboard here, but I think more accessibility to the token is also going to be highly necessary for it to be as successful as Ethereum.
Yeah, appreciate your breakdown there. I mean, your experience with blockchains that are just launching in general, right? The actual foundation is important to kind of an investment thesis in any type of game, right? Like if you want to get involved in a game, until we get this whole interoperability piece where you could, people don't even really like think about the blockchains anymore, it's important. To think about when you're investing in certain pieces. So speaking of specific games, 2018 to 2021, what were you even playing back then? Because there weren't a lot of collectible projects. There were barely any games. And then like let's move into like 2022 games and where we are in the NFT gaming space.
Yeah, so 2018, kind of moving on in 2019, playing games like Forgotten Artifacts, aka Lost Relics. It was called. They rebranded it. If you guys weren't around, then you wouldn't know. But one of the early engine games, it was very playable as a the kind of Diablo style dungeon runner. Still playable right now. It's a small development team, and they continue to innovate. But that was one of the ones we really started good at, playing early on. Gods Unchained. I started playing Gods Unchained in the closed beta, and I was like, this is going to be great. I love card games. Splinterlands, also early, one of the early games, not on Ethereum, just so you guys know. Killing it on the Hive blockchain now, which was at that time the Steam blockchain. They've made that kind of transition. Well, not transition. That's a whole another story, another time for that one. But yeah, I mean, so playing some of those early games, and those are still games that are super solid, man. They've put the time in to really transition with what's been going on in the space and lay the foundation for really good long-term games. And then a little bit after that, Axie Infinity, kind of came along too. I was playing Axie. Axie's not my favorite game to play. Like the gameplay is not like a lot of fun. I mean, people are like, I'm earning a bunch, and I'm like, I'm not really about like earning. Like my time is pretty valuable, and I want to play something that's fun too, not just something that I can earn a few bucks on. I want both. And so for me, that was definitely like games like Gods Unchained and Splinterlands, playing those early on. And so as we transition, there's been a bunch of games that I started playing on like my Secret Agent Stash show that are still, I would say, still kind of a little bit under the radar. Some of them, Blankos came onto the scene in 2020, which was a lot of fun. I was playing a game called War Riders, which still doesn't get a lot of love, but is a really cool game, man. I mean, it's you're out there smashing on people in vehicles in the wasteland, and you're mining their in-game cryptocurrency, and it's kind of like, it feels a little bit like Twisted Metal meets the wasteland.
Metal.
Yeah. Meets kind of like a desolate nuke type of like wasteland, which is a lot of fun. And yeah, I mean, so many others, man. So many other little games and things that in between. But now, kind of transitioning into looking forward to some big games that are coming out this year, like Illuvium, Phantom Galaxies has been really fun. We're playing that demo, and playing some other ones, like some other shooter games. Early on, Light Knight was also a one too. That was like it was the first like kind of FPS game, and you can earn Bitcoin. And they're making a transition into Solana, so that's kind of a new thing. But they've been around for a long time as well. So yeah, I mean, really just trying to find games that I enjoy playing.
I mean, you mentioned a lot of big ones there. Big shout out to Illuvium. Big shout out to Phantom Galaxies that it's coming out here in 2022 as well. They've got an upcoming Planet sale as well that's going to be live, like I think in Q2. So any like under the radar like alpha games that people don't know about yet or should be kind of like looking at. I think those ones that you mentioned are some big ones, but any others that you think under the radar might do well?
Under the radar that might do well, like there's a bunch of stuff that's coming to Gala Games. They've been really kind of slow to get things out. Like I wasn't a big Townstar fan, but Spider Tanks looks amazing. Played the early like closed betas on those. They're getting ready to launch here really soon, so that was gonna be hella fun. If you guys haven't played Theta and Arena, that game is actually fun. The earning mechanic and things they just totally screwed that up, man. The tokenomics and the economy there. But the game itself is like not bad. Like what I'm saying? Like they did a good job on the game itself. A couple other ones.
I've raged so hard on Theta and Arena, by the way. Like if you survive to like the last piece and then you're just like and then you die right before the because it's like a survival mode for anyone it's like a Fortnite essentially. There's that mode that you play.
No, Theta and Arena is more like a MOBA. So Theta and Arena is like it's like a traditional MOBA style. So you're in there with a team and doing it. So it's not like it's not.
Have you played the survival mode though?
Oh, the survival where you're a single person.
Yeah, single. That's what I'm talking about.
They have both modes. Yeah, I think most people are playing the kind of MOBA style. The survival one is okay. Like I guess I just enjoy playing the team battles a lot more, doing it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think the game is fun, but they did they do have some issues with the economy, and I think they kind of rushed a lot of those things and didn't really, and that's one of the things is that people have a game here, they want to put it out, but they don't really understand the tokenomics behind something like this. But we do see some RPGs that I think have a better chance of surviving because they do understand some of those things. But obviously, those are one of the hardest games to make.
Yeah, I appreciate the alpha drop there on some Gala Games is a great one for sure. I think
Yeah.
that's an under the radar
Walking Dead.
ecosystem.
I'm sorry to continue on that too. Like they're having a Walking Dead game that looks really cool. Last Expedition is also another title that's coming later this year, I think, for their platform. It looks really cool as well, man. And also, there's a bunch, man. There's so many good games. It's kind of hard to keep track. There's one called Supremacy that actually just launched their token yesterday, and I believe their NFTs are going on sale maybe tomorrow.
Ooh.
That looks really cool. It's a mech game, and they have some really cool elements where you can play and earn, but also watch and earn, which is kind of cool. It has like a Twitch integration too. So, man, there's a lot of really cool stuff coming where you kind of see some games that were already in development and decided to add some blockchain elements to it, like Phantom Galaxy. There was a game that they didn't just pop out of nowhere. They were already developing this game for a while, and then they were like, hey, let's add some NFT elements, and they did a good job, I think, of kind of scaling that stuff in.
Yeah, a lot of good alpha there from Stash. I appreciate you dropping some games. I want to get into like when you founded the CryptoStache channel and some tips for people. I think there's some people listening probably that want to be content creators themselves or already are, and you've done a great job growing the channel. Adam, shout out to Adam as well, who's helping you over there kind of grow the channel as well.
Oh, Adam, yeah.
Yeah, is it?
It's Adam, yeah.
It's Adam,
and I'm like, dude, you got to make sure you got the hyphen in between the A and the Dom, otherwise people think it's exactly. But yeah, Adam is my channel manager. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun this last year.
Yeah, man, and I want to get into some tips there because again, you've been really successful here, especially over the past year. So congrats on that. Little lightning question here. I asked this to Robert Hugendorn from Play to Earn Online yesterday. He kind of had a cop-out answer that everyone would win. So I want to have a non-cop-out answer here. Which metaverse wins?
Sandbox.
Boom. Okay. Awesome.
Bro.
Love it. Love the quick and to-the-point piece there. Let's get into the channel, man. So when did you found the channel? What has been your kind of thesis, or thesis is a terrible word for founding a channel.
Yes,
what has been your purpose? What has been your purpose, like main purpose on that channel? And then just tips for creators that want to get started in the space.
Yeah, so I got started with the channel in like early 2017. Like I said, I was coming back into the space, and I didn't really have anybody to talk to about it. I didn't have any friends that were into crypto. I had one friend that didn't live around. He didn't live in my city, so we didn't like see each other a ton. But like one friend I could talk to about, and that was about it. And I was always trying to talk to my friends about it, and no one wanted to hear it. And so I'm like, I'm just going to create a small little blog just to kind of log my adventure, because I think it'll be kind of fun, going. And so I started, like, oh, I got to call it something. So I started CryptoStache as kind of like this blog, and it was just kind of me talking about what I was doing, like, things I was interested in and whatnot. And then I started getting people reaching out to me, asking questions, leaving comments that I didn't know, and so it kind of snowballed, and I started writing more articles and trying to, help people. And then in mid 2017, before we started having this big run up in 2017, I started doing Bitcoin classes in my city. So I was teaching in-person classes to people that were, for lack of a better term, a little bit older, right? Maybe like 35, 40 plus.
Wow, ouch.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it could be a little rough sometimes, man. But I love my students, and I was usually about a class of like 25 to 35 people. And there was a time where actually there was a lady there that was with her grandson, and she was I think she was 82, I believe, and she did not know how to copy and paste. So I got to teach her how to copy and paste on a computer, yeah, and because I was saying, you don't want to type the wallet out, man. You got to copy and paste. And she raises her hand. She says, I don't know how to copy and paste. so it was it's a journey for everybody, right? Yeah. To get to that. But the fact that she was willing to learn, I was like very surprised. Exactly. And I was like, hey, I got to give her credit there. So of course I'm going to help. So that's kind of how the brand got started. Is really just I was writing. I wasn't doing videos. Not many people were doing videos at that time. There was a couple early 2017 creators on YouTube, but I didn't get. And actually, then after that, I did a video course. So I did a course that was kind of based on my in-person classes, and I was selling that on my website as kind of a thing. And then that a little bit after that, I would say 2018, middle like June or so, is when I decided to actually start doing videos. And so that's kind of when I got the video channels going, and really wasn't, for the next couple of years, man. I did content, but I wasn't 100% focused on it because it wasn't like I was full-time crypto. I still had a whole other business that I was running, and that was my main focus. That's where I made the majority of my money, and so I was doing crypto stuff in my spare time when I could. And 2021, like the beginning of the year, is when I really said, you know what, I want to go full into this. I'm still not 100% full time into crypto. I still have that other business, but I was like, I really want to make this a priority. So I'm gonna kick things into overdrive and start being consistent with my content. Which I think, if you're a creator, that's one of the biggest keys, is being consistent. People like consistency in general, and algorithms like consistency as well. So hitting those things that are pretty important, I think. When you start to get into doing creation, is being consistent. If you can do it a certain time, do it every time that time. Maybe you can only do 1 or 2 videos a week. Do it the same days and drop it around the same time. People appreciate that consistency, knowing that that you're going to be there and they can rely on it, right? And I think that's been a big thing that really took my brand here. But also then growing out my team as well has also been really good. When you're doing a ton of content like I'm doing, where I'm doing 5 videos a week, 1 every day, plus almost a live stream every single day too, it becomes a lot to manage. So having a good team, I think, is invaluable and is worth every penny. So once you get to that level, and you can, I think it makes sense. Learning some of those skills, I think, is good early on to do yourself, like video editing, social media, production, et cetera, et cetera. But once you can get to a level where you can kind of afford, I think it definitely pays off to go that direction.
Yeah, I want to give a big shout out here to my own team that helps me out on the channel, and they're doing a great job. Tigbo, Fun Uncle, Digits, Prodigy, appreciate you guys so much. I want to talk about this multi-streaming platform that you got going on. So you basically got YouTube, that's like your main hub. Theta is another one. I'm sure you're on Twitch as well. How do you look at like this multi-streaming feature as a content creator?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy because, like, when you look at content creation and what most people are doing here, it's, you have live streamers, and then you have people who make videos. Most people don't do a ton of both things. So someone who mostly does videos, maybe they do some live streams, right? And then some people that do live streams, maybe they do some videos. I'm going almost 50-50 on it. Like I said, I'm doing 5 videos a week, 1 every day, and then 1 live stream pretty much every day. And so I think the reason why I kind of went that direction too is because live streaming, I think, is most closely associated with gamers. And that is the kind of crossover industry that I'm in, right? So, whereas I'm into NFTs, crypto, the gaming side of things too, I'm trying to bring traditional gaming into our space. So that one of the best ways, to really do that is to do live streams and play the games live and be there with people and talk about it with them live. And so, it's been a journey trying to create these channels across different platforms, because obviously YouTube is one of my biggest channels, but you don't have as much concentration of gaming content there as you do on Twitch. When I first got started on Twitch, man, the environment, it was like, crypto games were so new and nobody cared. It was really toxic for me, man. People coming and trolling me, talking about crypto being a scam, blah blah, and the community just wasn't as welcoming. But then I found Theta, and I really started upping my live stream game by streaming there, and then saying, hey, I'm gonna kind of just exclusively stream here for a while, and I was. And then I got to a point where, like, I really needed to kind of build these brands, at the same time across both YouTube, Twitch, and Theta, and so started essentially using Restream, which allows you to push your stream to multiple networks at the same time. So you can find me on YouTube, you can find me on Twitch, Theta. I also stream my stuff to Twitter and Facebook every time I go live. So I'm on 5 platforms. You can watch me on any of your favorite ones. Watching on Theta is great, obviously, because you earn a little bit of Theta, and I do extra prizes there. Watching on Twitch is also great too, and YouTube if that's what you're comfortable with too. I think it's kind of cool to have that, and interacting with all of them, I think, is really important. So I have like a little command center here where I can see all the comments, and Restream does a pretty good job of aggregating all that shit together, so it makes it easy.
I love that. Speaking of kind of connecting here, we've got the chat live. If you guys have any questions for Stash before he leaves here, because we're sitting at about an hour, definitely ask them now. I had Robert, like I mentioned, I don't know if you know Robert Hugendorn. I'm sure you've been to Play to Earn online. He had an amazing clip. Not a lot of context here, so take it for what it is, but he basically said gamers are terrible people. he was just saying, and he was saying like they're toxic as hell, you know?
It's true, man.
Yeah, and hearing you say that about your Twitch streams just brought that back instantly.
I mean, I'm a long time, original gamer, man. I mean, I started gaming on the Atari and then PC and then Nintendo. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like legit, man. And so I've been a gamer my entire life, man. I've been on every console, done everything. Did early PC games before most people were playing PC games. And now at the point where we're at, yeah, I feel like the global gaming community can be easily labeled as very toxic. There's people on there, and in particular because there's a lot of young people and people who don't have any kind of filter. They don't have any kind of etiquette. They don't have compassion a lot of times. And so yeah, you see people just don't give a shit, man. They don't care about how they I think that in this digital age we get very removed. That's not. They don't even consider the person that they're yelling obscenities to as an actual real person on the other side. Just somebody that is a target, and that's it.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I got a question from the comments here. Best game for pure content, and I think this is related to like maybe an NFT game. Best game for pure content from your side.
Hard one. So pure content game. Okay, I'm gonna give 2 here because it really depends. So I would say that if you love card games, I would definitely say Gods Unchained or Splinterlands are great games. Great content, great team, great features, very solid, and great earning potential. Now, if you're on the other side and you're like, I don't really like those kinds of games because those are very specific. Not everybody likes those games. Blankos is actually really fun, man. It's a great multiplayer game. It's very easy to get into. It's easy to play with friends. It's one of those games where it's just like, it's casual, right? It's casual and fun to play. And then like for more of those hardcore people, check out Phantom Galaxies because their demo out is pretty cool right now. You do need to have an NFT to access that demo, but really cool game if you like games like Mass Effect. It's kind of like I can't say kind of like Mass Effect or No Man's Sky kind of feeling, plus Gundam.
Love it.
And that's what the game's like. So those are some recommendations I would say.
Yeah, shout out to Ben and the team from Blowfish Studios who's creating Phantom Galaxies. They're going to do some cool things, and I'm excited to hear more about like the planet features and how all this is going to work out. Yeah, big shout out to Blankos there as well. Stash, we've been going for about an hour, so I'm going to kind of cut us off here. This has been a great conversation, man. You laid it down. Anything else you want to like let the viewers or listeners know about what you've going on? Any kind of like Stash roadmap for the channel or what you got going on? Yeah, that's a down, baby. There you go.
Yeah.
Always thinking.
Yeah. So roadmap. I'm actually working on a sandbox game that is going to be coming out here in probably the next 3 to 6 months ish. Hopefully around 3 or 4 months. That is based upon my character Secret Agent Stash. If you guys watch my popular NFT gaming show on Thursdays, which is later today. It is a fun game where I'm a secret agent. We go on missions. I get into disguises. You can interact with it, and so this sandbox game is going to be based on that. You're going to be a secret agent in the Crypto Intelligence Agency, the CIA, and you're going to go on a mission. You're going to go on a mission with Secret Agent Stash, and try and save the city. And so I don't want to give too much away, man, but I give some sneak peeks of what the gameplay looks like. It's a shooter. So it'll be I think one of the first shooters actually on the sandbox when it gets done. So really excited about that. Also have an interactive live stream NFT card game that did a soft launch last year. There were some issues with the UI and the way the card game kind of interacted with the live stream, so we went back to development. So that is back into development now, and that should be back live again here in the next couple of months as well. But essentially, you being able to interact with that same show on Thursday, Secret Agent Stash, by redeeming NFTs that get me to do things like change the disguise, or change the game I'm playing, or play blindfolded for 10 seconds, or left-handed, which is hard. You ever try to play left-handed, like switch your hands and do right on the key and then left here if you're not? It's hard as hell, man.
Yeah.
So some fun things that we're working on for the community and for the Stash brand in general.
When this man says he gets dressed up in disguises, he is not kidding. I've jumped into the secret agent Stash mission and been like, what is Stash wearing? Right, the Mario one. What other ones do you've got? Like a Slash one, I think.
Yeah, Slash, yep, from Guns N' Roses. You know, I got like a Fred Flintstone one, Fisherman, a Roman guy, Pilot. I even have the most coveted one, and one that I've not worn yet on stream because it's connected to one of these cards for that game. But Princess Stash, so Princess Peach Stash, and that no one's. I've saved that one specifically for a redemption because it's the legendary level card in my card game. And so once that's back out, someone will get me in there, and I have the whole thing, man.
You're like you're basically like embarrassing yourself on stream to get like FOMO into your NFT. Is that a Princess Stash?
Well, no. What's funny though? Yeah, I mean, what's funny though is that like I was doing this well before this concept of this NFT live stream game came about. So I've been doing it for a very long time, and I just think it's fun, man. I like costumes. I'm a big Halloween guy. And so doing some cosplay like that with a secret agent edge, kind of like this is our disguise we're going into this game with, so they don't, recognize that it's me. And yeah, I mean, there's a bunch. You can check them out on secretagentstash.com. There's a whole list of all the cards there, and it shows you all the disguises. And I have all those disguises, so like they're all on deck, plus more. For whenever we play the game. So.
Yeah, we got a comment here. Pirate Stash. That's another great one that you rolled out. But
Captain Stash Blacktoe. That's another one too. Captain Stash Blacktoe.
You're awesome, man. I'm definitely gonna be tuning into some of your gaming streams here just to get another update on what you're wearing. So, anyways, man, great conversation. This has been CryptoStache. He is an OG NFT investor. We talked about that before the stream so that we knew exactly what to call Stash. But CryptoStache, great conversation. I always like connecting with you, man. I appreciate you as well having me on your channel for those around the metaverse episodes. So we're going to wave bye to the viewers and listeners out there. I guess later, guys.